The college football season is almost here, and we're kicking it off by drafting our office league tonight. Let's head back to campus on this episode of the IBT podcast, coming right at you.
I've been going dummy, out of bounds, putting on a clinic. Stick around, carrots in my hardware. KC, caught him in the crosshair. Look at me, been the guy calling Mr. MVP. Keep your ass on the bench by my MPC. Earn my stripes like I fixed this league. Your dog's on the turf, my dog's in the street. You can find me somewhere in between. Never a dull moment like a movie scene. About to do the ops like I did this beat. Let them keep talking, RG3. Coming to you live. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right. It is Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. And yes, this is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, your place for both a refreshing and feel-good take on fantasy football and NFL gambling. Tonight, we shift gears and go back to the college game as Week 0 is here, and we are hosting our office league on a new platform called Squad Blitz. More on that in a minute, but first, allow me to introduce my team to you tonight. My name is Seth Woolcock. I'm fresh off my home league draft, feeling a bit uneasy about it, but I guess that's what happens when you're a couple dozen beers in, a few shots down the hatch as well. Either way, I'm joined by a boot-scooting, light ranching son of a bitch, Eric Raise 'em Up Romoff. How we doing, buddy?
Man, we doing good. A little better than 2 weeks until NFL football. Like you mentioned, college football week 0 is upon us. So you know that we back here, we hot boxing it, we sweat lodging it in the studio, spinning it up on a Tuesday night.
Glad to have you back here, man. And also joining us is the entertainment betting sharp of this particular program. Also a fantasy football hot take machine out there on the streets. Steve, don't get lost in the sauce. Lawson, how we doing today, buddy?
Oh, man, permanently lost in the sauce. Permanently.
I feel you. Steve, I haven't seen you in like 2 or 3 weeks, man. What's been going up there at Boston? Have you gotten to that nice weather yet? Because here it feels like fall all of a sudden. It's like August 20th, and I'm feeling great about it.
Yeah, it definitely feels like fall. I'm a summer boy. I live for the summer, so I'm missing my heat right now. But I definitely have. It definitely feels like a early fall day up here in New England. Some hurricane blew the weather in, so you know what? We'll enjoy it while we got it. I'm in sweats today. I'm chilling.
Okay, all right. I feel that as well. Tonight on the program, we're going to be drafting on Squad Blitz. This is a team-focused college football, fantasy football platform. And I'm going to be honest to God with you. This is not a paid endorsement type of thing. Yes, they are a new partner to ours here at In Between Media, but we are not contractually obligated to do this. It's just kind of the natural progression over here. We do a shit ton of fantasy football leagues. We wanted to spice up our office league a little bit more. We dive deeper into the college football landscape over this offseason, last couple off season as well. I host the Betting Pros College Football Show. Eric is deep as fuck in college basketball as well. And Steve's just one of those raging Knowles fans you got to look out for as well. So as a staff, we're going to be dipping our toes into it here. And I thought this would be a great way to just really get us more into the game and more engaged this season. If you guys like this Squad Blitz platform, any of the IBT family out there, let us know. And we'd like to make a listener league as well here over the next week. And shout out to the IBT family as well. We're very, very close to 1.2K subs. It would be fucking sick if we could get there before the start of the season. I also want to shout out some people in the chat here. We had Nate over here from IDP Plus saying, hey, what the fuck is up? Denny, is good to see you, Nate. Corey from Squad Blitz saying can't miss with Vanderbilt. Draft Vandy. Yeah, we know they're going to be running the ball. Trash Sandwich is going to be drafting with us as well. Good to see you tonight, Trash.
Old school Avi for Trash.
Yes. Also, I want to shout out Eric. Eric, we got Pros with Joes going on right now. You can come play with me and come play with Steve. I'm raising money for the 826 National. I've raised $0 so far. I am terrible at asking people for money. So anyone in the chat, I have the link in the bio right now to go to proswithjoes.com. If you want to play with me, want to play with Steve against people that are way better at fantasy football than at least me, I'm not going to speak for Steve's fantasy football skills. But if you want to play against some real analysts and help out some young writers or the Trevor Project as well, that's your charity, Steve, correct?
Sure is.
Hell yeah. Eric, any final thoughts on Pros with Joes here other than I need to get boogieing over there because we got about 5 days left to put a mark on things?
Yeah, 5 days left. Fundraising will close on Sunday. This year, we are bigger than ever. We expanded up to 70 teams. So we have a lot of the IBT family represented. Like Seth mentioned, you can play with him, you can play with Steve. We've also got trash sandwiches in the mix this year. Some of our partners and friends, like Tyler from the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, but also contributors and analysts from basically every single platform under the sun. If you consume fantasy or football content, there is very likely a representative from that site, from that platform, from that outlet that is playing for a cause that is near and dear to them, right? Every single one of our pros gets to hand select the charity that they're playing for. So you make a donation, that donation goes exactly and directly to that charity that they picked out. Every dollar you donate is essentially an entry into a drawing to win your way into the league as that pro's co-manager. So highly competitive industry expert league. Every one of our experts, though, is riding along with a co-manager that donated to their charity of choice. It just ends up being super cool experience. There's not really a league out there that is quite like it. Going 70 deep this year, like I mentioned, and there's still time to get in the mix. Proswithjoes.com is where you can get registered. That'll take you to our donor center. You can see all of our pros, all of the fantastic causes that they're supporting. As you're there, just crack open the wallet, right? Give a little, give a lot, whatever you can spare. Whatever you won't miss is probably the best way to think about it, right? Like, we all got a couple bucks laying around. You'll feel pretty good about yourself. And if you're donating to Seth, you're probably going to win your way into the league.
Yeah, absolutely. You got 100% chance right now. So start swinging that bat, guys. We appreciate it. Sven saying in the chat, Eric is the jewel of South Texas. I would agree with that. That's that might be how I intro him now on here, Sven. I like that. I like that a lot.
The deep cut. Sven gets it. Sven knows what I got in my locker.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead, guys. Let's crack it open here with a little front and center and get into our Squad Blitz draft so I can avenge myself from my loss last year in our championship to Eric.
Sometimes taking that first step out the door is the hardest thing to do. Give it a chance, you'll be begging for more. Save the spot just for you. We're all somewhere in between. How about you come to the place you can have some fun? Ain't gotta worry about knowing not what it means. You can come and give me another, cause the night is young. At least I so thought.
This just in. Breaking news. Front and center.
All right. As noted, we're playing on Squad Blitz tonight. This is our office draft for the IBT family. This is a team-focused college fantasy football platform. It's like traditional fantasy football. You have a draft. You have matchups every single week that you're head-to-head against people. Last 2 weeks of the season are the playoffs, so we're doing I believe, a 4-team playoff. So we'll battle that out here in the last 2 weeks of the college football season. 12 players drafting 8 teams each. You start 6 teams per week. You have 2 passing offenses, 2 rushing offenses, and 2 defenses in your starting lineup, but you do draft the teams as a whole. The scoring breakdown, passing, you're going with your traditional yards, touchdowns, INTs, rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, fumbles lost. In the defensive categories, sacks, turnovers, points allowed, and defensive touchdowns. The one thing to note here, kicking points, that will also be included. So you want those fucking young legs on your team, and some return TDs as well. And keep in mind, we have the traditional kickoff still in college, not this Mickey Mouse bullshit we're dealing with here in the NFL. This is a snake draft. It's going to be a 2-minute timer, and you can trade during the season or use transfer portal, waiver wire prospects available all season long to you as well. So let's go ahead. We're going to start this draft out. And we got Katie Mess. That's my girlfriend. She's on the clock here. And I kind of want to take you guys through Squad Blitz a little bit and just kind of show you guys some things. Looking at the averages here. Like, this is really, I think, where you want to be spending a lot of your capital is on these teams that just have a little bit of a cheat code. Like Liberty, Air Force, they run it so fucking much, Eric. I almost think maybe the 101, the 102 in this draft. Oregon, you could put up there too. We know that they're going to have Gabriel out there instead of Bo Nix. What did you think about this? You and I, Eric, were at a draft a couple weeks ago, and when it came down to it, we were pretty surprised that Liberty and Air Force went so early, but I think it makes sense looking back at it.
Yeah, I am no college football expert, not by any stretch of the imagination. And so when Liberty went off the board 101, I was scratching my head, right? I literally know nothing about this sport apparently, but a closer look at the format, at the structure, it makes a lot of sense, right? So I'll talk a bit about the game theory. If you want to win the game, the first thing you need to understand are the rules of that game. The fact that you are rostering and starting teams for specifically their passing offense, for specifically their rushing offense, and for specifically their defense changes the draft strategy altogether, right? Some of these more prolific, balanced offenses are probably going to be pushed down the board a little bit. Some of these units that are a bit more specialized seem to be the ones that are flying off soon.
Yes, agreed with you there. Steve, how do you weigh those cheat code offenses that we were looking at? The Liberties, also the Liberties, you have the Penn States and the like the JMUs that are really good at the defensive points. Are you looking at some of these kind of scrappier schools, or do you want the big dogs? Do you want the Ohio States? Do you want the Oregons? Do you want the Texases?
Yeah, I think you always want to go with like the schools that are gonna like you want the big fish in the small pond. So you don't necessarily want Ohio State who's gonna run into a Penn State, Michigan,
Right.
guys like that, right? You want the shouldn't say it, but I'll say it is like SMU, right? Like think SMU, they've got these really good recruits coming in, they have a ton of money to spend on NIL. Their wide receiver room is just disgusting, right? So they're probably gonna put up a bazillion passing yards a game. Look at teams like Colorado as well. You know Dion's gonna try to get his son as many passing stats as he can. So there's definitely something to look at where you're looking at these teams that play in weaker divisions where they're kind of bigger markets. Not necessarily the Colorado and the
Sure.
whatever they're in but like they do play a weaker schedule overall. So especially with this new conference realignment, you kind of want to avoid the teams that are going to run into a buzzsaw somewhere along the way.
Yeah, especially early on here, we're going to get some of these non-competitive games, the type of games that the season ticket holders are leaving pretty early on. Katie is not making a pick, so we're going to go ahead and auto pick for gave her Georgia. I feel like that's still a good 101 there. Working out the kinks a little bit on her end here. Kyle's actually supposed to draft in Katie's place. Kyle gave us some bullshit excuse there. His girlfriend's car broke down. I've heard that one before.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to question Kyle's process here, but I've never seen him producing from his girlfriend's car, right? So clearly, this is all just lip service. He's I don't know if he's trying to avoid the heat. I think Kyle got bounced out of the office league pretty quickly last year, so sounds like a bit of air cover to me.
Yeah, I would say so as well. Georgia off the board here at 101. I think they're going to be a balanced team. You can kind of use them almost anywhere. So okay with giving Katie them. We got Smokey Hell Nelson on the clock here. Tino checking in from the chat. What's up, Tino? Good to see you, bud. Sam checking in saying that's a fast clock. Hey, buddy, we got to keep it moving here. We got about an hour 15 time slot here dedicated towards this. So got to keep it moving, Sam. Good to see you, though, tonight. Appreciate you stopping in and drafting with us as well. We got Albert hanging out with us. Good evening, Albert. Thanks, as always, for making time for us. And Sven saying, can you just scream across the room for Seth? I could, but that would be highly inappropriate. So I'm going to keep it square here. We got Scott in the chat saying if Liberty gets taken before my pick, then my wife's car broke down too. Okay, fair enough. All right, Eric, you're on the board at the 104 coming up here. Are you hoping to get one of these cheat codes? You thinking maybe they get past Smokey Hell or Tino?
I don't know if I should just lay out my entire strategy here, but yeah, generally, I think these early
lay out your strategy. Hey, Eric, do you want CMC at the 105 in fantasy football? Is that sneaking out your strategy too? It's the first round. Right. There's no such thing as strategy. Pick the top.
I would pass on him at the 105, but that's a different story. my initial
forward like that, like
you
didn't just say what you just said. Wait a minute, what the fuck did you just say?
I said it. I'm concerned. Running backs are fragile. That's a different topic altogether. I do think that the best early round picks are spent on those specialized teams. So that is very much so the direction that I'm going. And since we've talked them up the entire lead up to this, I will go with Liberty.
Liberty Flames. I like the call a lot here from Eric. We had Tino. He ends up going with he went with Oregon there, and then we had Ohio State go off the board to Smoky Hell. Katie, of course, went Georgia, and then Eric takes Liberty here. Sven back up on the clock. I'm excited to see what Sven does here at the 105. He's got a couple different options with some of these service teams. Alabama still on the board is just probably the overall best team. WVU getting a little love here early as well, Steve. You ever been down into West Virginia, my friend?
No, I've seen the Wrong Turn movies, and I will avoid that state like the plague. So no, I will never. You will never catch me in that god awful state.
I've said it before here on the program, but Kyle and I once went down to Morgantown. That's a different world down there, my friend. That is a different world. Enjoyed our time, but don't know if I'll be back there.
Yeah, those country roads can take me anywhere else.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sven picking Air Force. So we have both the broken scoring rushing teams going off the board, trash sandwiches on the clock here. The other thing to keep in mind here, as we are kind of looking at last year's averages and points, it's interesting because you do have turnover every single year, Eric, in college football. One of the things that Boggs over on the Betting Pros college football show is very heavy in weighing, especially early in the season, is returning production. Is that something you're kind of weighing here at the top of the draft as well?
Not something that I'm necessarily weighing, but I do know that it is correlated, right? So I don't have the subject matter expertise to have an accurate gauge on it. So yeah, I'm putting it to the side. But for those of you that are plugged into the college game, I would very much so advise adding that to your arithmetic overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh saying good pick. They're going to crush it again, referring to Liberty or Air Force there. And Nate getting sniped by Trash, who goes LSU there. We'll see what they can do. Did lose a lot. I think there's a lot of high turnover. Speaking of high turnover there at LSU, no Jaden Daniels. They lose Malik Neighbors. They lose Brian Thomas Jr. as well. But always great in getting recruits down there. And say what you want about old Brian down there, but you know, every single year he puts together a good squad as well. So can't go wrong with LSU here in the first. And all right, we got Nate. He has picked, and I'm on the clock with 48 seconds left here. Gonna refresh this, come back in. Yeah. All right.
Click view team, Seth.
There we go. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. Yeah, West Virginia is on the board. They were great at rushing last season. I kind of like Michigan. They got Alex Orji this year, who's a pretty mobile quarterback. It's all right. I don't think it will auto me. But yeah, I'm gonna go Michigan here. I think that's gonna be my pick. For me, like I think you can roll with their defense, especially in the beginning of the year against some shit squads. And then their offense is gonna have to come to play as early as week 2 when they face Texas. So I like Michigan. I like what they have with Edwards in the backfield. I don't know really. Alex Orji's a little bit of a question mark, but I think he has good legs. So yeah, I'm about it, man. I'm about it. Corey, little go blue. This from a Penn State fan, so that one hurt a little bit there. All right, Nicolette on the board here at the 7th pick. Steve, you're up in 2 picks, man. How you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good. I mean, my team hasn't been taken yet, so I'm excited. I'm hoping to get the team I want, and we're gonna see how it goes. Yeah, it's an exciting college football season in my household. Florida State, big year coming up, great year. Yeah. They play on my birthday this year to kick off this Saturday. So I'll be spending my birthday watching my Florida State Seminoles.
Maybe a couple Guinnesses for you over the weekend while they're out there in Ireland.
Celebrate the big 3-1 for me. So
okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a weird fucking age to turn, 31. It's just I don't feel 31 years old, and it officially sticks me in my 30s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you turn 30, you're like, I was just in my 20s. Like this one feels a little weird that I'm like firmly in my 30s now.
Yeah. I am not looking forward to that 30th birthday, but I know when it comes, I will enjoy it, and
it's fine. I mean, you know what? It's not how old you are; it's how old you feel. And I feel 157, so it's right. All good.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Nicolette going with my Penn State Nittany Lions there, potentially for a defensive play and a rushing play. They'll have some cake matchups here after they get through West Virginia in week 1 out there in Morgantown. And, they got Nicholas Singleton. They got Katron Allen in the backfield. So I think
They
Penn
also
State will
probably
be.
have the best environment in college football. I hate to admit it. They have one of the best ones going. Like that clip of them against Michigan
Yeah,
when like causing a timeout on the first play of the game. I mean, there's not many stadiums in the country that can do that.
yeah.
You can plug Penn State into any situation with James Franklin there. You know they're going to put up that rushing stat too. So I think that's a great pick.
Yeah, I'll say they just recently, a couple years ago, I was a season ticket holder for a while at Penn State, and it took a couple years, and then eventually they finally let alcohol into the stadium, and you're allowed to buy beer,
Anymore.
but I'd always be hungover by halftime. That was my issue, so I wasn't the greatest fan in there sometimes. Nate going with Western Kentucky. Yeah, dude, Western Kentucky's always an air raid offense, so.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah,
Love that.
whether it was Zip on the Ball Zappy or previous installments of it, Western Kentucky always been great with that. And then Steve, go with the homer pick, Florida State here. Steve, I don't know, man. They lost a lot of pieces, especially on that offense, dude. Trey Benson gone, Keon Coleman gone, Johnny Wilson gone, Benjamin gone as well. Like you lost a lot, my brother.
They did, but remember, they also replaced a lot, not only in the transfer portal, but they had 5-star wide receiver Hakeem Williams sitting on the bench all last year. This man is ready to take off. We brought in DJU from the transfer portal. He had lit it up at Oregon State last year. The offensive line is looking like every single player is on the draft board, essentially, plus adding in Lawrence Toafili and our new running backs that we brought in, one from Bama and one as a freshman who's just a monster. I think Florida State is that all-around team that's once again going to go undefeated. And this time, the College Football Committee is not leaving them out.
Wow, so little love from Steve. They do play in the ACC, so I think they do have a little bit of an advantage there. DJ Ukulele though, that guy's been in college fucking longer than we've been doing this show. So which is both surprising. So I'm not sure how I feel about it. Oklahoma goes off the board here to Scott. They make the jump into the SEC. He's not afraid of the tougher competition here. Oklahoma is always going to do Oklahoma things. I feel like Eric, and I feel like that's a well-balanced pick from Scott. How do you feel about the board shaking out here in round 1? We had some big dogs go off the board, then some specialties, and now we're kind of really rounding out what really is that AP top 10 here in the preseason pool.
Yeah, I think this is how we're going to see a lot of squad blitz drafts unfold, right? People trying to go for the specialists here or there, but largely we're going to see a lot of teams following the AP poll, following Heisman odds, for example, right? So wouldn't be at all surprised to see, a good chunk of those top 25 teams drafted in the first 30, 35 picks or so.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of coaching turnover, kind of as we were touching on turnover as well, that we kind of have to consider. Kalen DeBoer, he's going down to Alabama. Washington kind of has a new group of coaches in there, including Bill Belichick spending some time up there in Washington. Him, Michael Lombardi, Steve Belichick as well. So maybe a little defensive swing up there. Steve, maybe look at Washington here in the second round for a defensive poll now that Belichick's snooping around the area.
Absolutely not.
Oh,
No.
Come on.
No, zero, nada. Let's not fool ourselves here. Unless he's taking over as the coordinator and the head coach, that defense isn't getting any better. And they're playing in the Big Ten now. They have to deal with the big dogs, right? Like they're a Pac-12 team that's going to get the Big Ten treatment. That's a lot of really big boys on those lines that are going to be smushing people. So, I don't think this is going to go very well for Washington.
Yeah, fair enough. We also have, coming off the board, we have Tennessee going to Sam at the turn. Tennessee's always kind of an interesting one here. They always feel like they have, some high flying offenses here. Dylan Sampson, he'll take charge of that backfield now moving forward. I think they could offer a little bit of rushing upside. I think the one thing I like about Tennessee probably the most here, Steve, probably the coolest fucking name in college football in their wide receiver slot, Squirrel White.
Oh, yeah. Squirrel White is amazing. Like, not only in name, but in talent. Like, with Tennessee, they're going to be bombs away. So that passing offense, chef's kiss perfection. So great pick there.
Squirrel White. All right. Sam, you're back up on the clock. You got another pick here. He's sweating it out. He's milking this clock down. We'll see what happens here. All right. We got Ole Miss. Ole Miss, yeah, they are potential sneaky dark horse to the Final Four, Erica. Are you drinking that Ole Miss hype here this season? They did lose Judkins, but they have Jackson Dart and company coming back and a plethora of good wide receivers as well.
Yeah, very much so. The team I was hoping might slide their way to me at the end of the second round, the team that I drafted in the Squad Blitz office league a few nights ago. Jackson Dart is a interesting betting choice for based on his current Heisman odds, and he has a ton of receiving talent around him. And we know that Lane Kiffin knows his way around running an offense at the collegiate level. So I wouldn't be surprised at all as we think about kind of the transition year for Alabama and maybe a new look SEC dynamic and power landscape. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see Ole Miss in that mix, and specifically in this context as one of the more effective passing units in all of college football.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. And I think the only thing that could scare someone off of Ole Miss is they're going to face a lot of tough competition, tough road ahead for them. Scott, with the SMU pick, this is a great fucking pick, man. SMU is a fucking wagon. They won the AAC last season. They're now going to the ACC. We're actually going to see them in week 0 this week. I think they're like a 28-point favorite or something here in week 1. So if you're looking for some cheap offensive production, the SMU Bulls might not be too bad, man. So I like that pick from Scott as well. Yeah, all right, man. Yeah, so we got a little bit of everything going off the board here. We got some specialty. I feel like that one was kind of a specialty thing there, taking SMU. That was a pretty sharp pick there by Scott. A lot of the top teams kind of coming off the board here as well. Speaking of a top team, Steve, Alabama for you. Wow, that feels like a great value there for you in the second round. Get to Bama.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, listen, they brought in the head coach from Washington last year, and we know that he can put up points. And they may have the best quarterback in college football right now under center. This is a no-brainer for me. I mean, I went with the homer pick in round 1. Not that Florida State is like. For me, Florida State is that you can plug them into any situation because they have the best head coach in college football right now. But Alabama is Alabama, right? They got blue chip talent. They are going to put up points, and they are on a mission this year. Remember, no Nick Saban, right? He retired. These kids need to prove that they are not a product of him, right? So there's going to be a chip on their shoulder. This is going to be a good year for the Crimson Tide.
Fuck yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to see what DeBoer can do down there. Definitely a different as now compared to in previous years, but we'll see what happens there. Going Texas here. God damn it. Oh, first snipe of the night. All right, so Nate went Texas. That's a bummer. Quinn Ewers and company go there to Nate and the 2-hole. And then Nicolette, she goes with Colorado. That was kind of my thought to maybe get a high-flying passing offense. They got Travis Hunter. They got Will Shepard. They got Jimmy Horn Jr. out there wide. And, of course, they have Shedeur Sanders tossing the pigskin as well. So, yeah, a little bit of pickle here. Thank you very much, Nicolette. Appreciate you putting me on the spot here.
It's getting real tricky now when you're looking at these teams. A lot of them are in flux. So I think this is a really interesting spot to be in. And I'm very, very interested to see how the board shapes out from here because just so many question marks remain for the rest of these teams.
Agreed. I'm going to go with my first pick. I kind of locked in someone I'll be relying heavily from a rushing standpoint. So I'm going to start trying to build out my passing squad a little bit. I'm going to go Arizona. They got Faeda down there. They also got Tate. They got a great wide receiver quarterback connection. He's kind of a long shot to win the Heisman. And I like what they're doing over there at Arizona. I think they could easily push to be one of the better teams out west this season. So I'm going to go in with Arizona there. Hurt not to get Colorado, but I'll take that. Trash, nice pick. Kansas State. Love
that.
Yeah,
they're good offense.
Well balanced team as well from Kansas State. I think you can use them in a variety of ways. Eric, you're on the pick here in one pick. I don't want to tip your hand at all. Are you going with a Southern team? You are from Texas. We've had the original Texas off the board. North Texas still on the board. A couple other teams in the neighboring state as well on the board.
Yeah, it was definitely hoping to see the Longhorns on the board for me. I mean, I guess mathematically, the majority of the teams are kind of southern states, right? So probably going with a southern state team. I do have my eye on one team in particular. I'll see if they make their way to me, and if not, have a bit of a pivot to my strategy queued up. So I think it'll all boil down to what Sven did here. Went with App State.
App State, yeah.
So I'm gonna double tap here with the overload rushing stats. I'm gonna go to our friends over at West Virginia. Jaheim White heading into year number 2 should be able to be very effective in that backfield. Also, the Big 12 is like many conferences, a conference in flux. I think that he's going to have some pretty favorable lanes in front of him and is queued up for another big season this year.
Yeah, Garrett Green's got a little bit of wheels there as well, so very good on the option there. So going with the Russian start there for both Sven and Eric. Tino's got a GIF. How did he get that GIF in there? That's pretty sick. I would have liked. I should have uploaded a GIF as well. I don't have a GIF of myself. Maybe we should change that, boys. Maybe we should get a little. Seth
we should definitely like record pre-show, like some of our like rituals. I think that'd be great GIFs.
No, we don't need that on the internet.
My pre-show rituals are behind the paywall. Link in bio.
The little chili pepper.
Yeah.
Eric, did you literally just upload that picture as we were live here?
I did. That's a picture of me from tonight.
Wow. Appreciate
Handsome
that.
Man. Look at us.
Appreciate you. Appreciate what you're doing.
Look at us.
Team. We got Tino. He picked UCF. Wonder what Tino, you have to explain yourself in the chat where the UCF love comes from. Not familiar if they were a better passing or rushing team, honestly, off the top of the dome.
They're one of those big fish in
Gus
small
Malzahn's
ponds.
Still hanging out there, right? He's been known to put together a pretty decent offense.
It's that big fish small pond mentality. It's they play a bunch of nobodies and they'll beat them up.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if we can get Smokey to make his pick, and then Katie's up for a couple as well.
Speaking of conference realignment, I'm pretty sure UCF's in the Big 12 now, so not exactly the smallest of ponds, but a pond that's not quite as large as it was before, right? A lot of the premier talent has headed out of that conference, at least on the football side.
Yeah, I mean, no Oklahoma, no Texas, so yikes. I mean, at this point, do you guys just think like the NCAA needs to like get rid of conferences altogether? Because at this point,
I like
Florida State wants out of the ACC. So does Clemson, right? So they leave the ACC. The Big 12 is left with whatever remnants remain. It's just gonna put a super just make it all one. What's with these conferences? That's so freaking bizarre.
I like it. It reminds me of
my team.
It reminds me of simpler times. Reminds me of simpler times and better days as well. So I don't know.
I think that's it, right? Like college football as a sport is so like steeped in tradition that I think people generally like those ties. But to your point, Steve, right? Like that tradition is gone, right? You know, Seth, cue up the Big Ten map intro this year as it around the entire country, right? So like the idea of like hanging on to these conferences for nostalgia's sake is kind of pointless, and it makes the waters incredibly muddy. It's hard to be effective as a governing body when you're essentially operating with a quarter of the teams out there and a huge chunk of the revenue pool.
Especially when the committee takes into account strength of schedule and conference strength. There's no incentive now for big teams to stay in these conferences, right? Like they're like, the champion gets an automatic bid.
TV revenue, the TV revenue is always going to be better.
This all started because of TV revenue, because the ACC signed a deal with ESPN, And then it set the standard, and the SEC signed when it was like 5 times as big. So that's where this all becomes really muddy really fast.
For me personally, like, I don't think I'd be as inclined to watch anymore if there weren't conferences. Like, call me a sucker. I love watching like Big Ten football. There's something about it. It's a different brand, and like whatever football you grew up with, whether that was
Dude,
Big
you're
12.
such a liar. You're not going to stop watching college football because they don't fly a conference flag. A Penn
Dude,
State game's on and they're not part of the Big Ten anymore, and you're just not watching.
It also doesn't change how you play. Like, the reason the Big Ten is Big Ten football is because they recruit from the middle of the country, and those boys are out there shucking hay all over the place, and they make great offensive linemen.
Yeah. I know
Seth just out here lying to the IBT family.
I-
I'll stop
Seth's like-
watching.
Seth's
I'll
sitting there
stop
like-
watching.
I
college
know I
Hands on
wouldn't
his
stop
no
watching,
conference.
but I would be
Seth is the
upset.
youngest of the three of us, and he's so the oldest of the three of us. It's not even funny.
Yeah,
right?
dude. I fucking love the Big Ten, man. I love the tradition of it.
I'm
Yeah.
not watching unless they bring it back. Baseball should have never gone to the instant replay.
Oh, easy. All right.
I liked it when their uniforms were made out of wool.
All right, we got some picks to catch up on here. Smokey Hell, he goes with Notre Dame. Notre Dame, top 5 team ranked in the country right now. North Carolina, they lose Drake May. They lose some weapons there in Devontae Walker as well. However, they do have Max Johnson at quarterback. I'm excited to see what he can do there. And then Omarion Hampton in the backfield as well. They usually do have a pretty good rushing game as well. So UNC can kind of be a nice pick, I think, here. You can use them in the passing game. I think you'll be able to use them in the rushing game as well. James Madison, JMU, they lost a lot. They were kind of one of the Cinderellas of last season, but they had a high defensive scoring from last year and a high passing scoring as well. Utah off the board next. Utah, potentially a favorite to win the Big 12 there. And then Kansas going to Tino, Devin, Neal, and the boys. I was hoping I could get Kansas. I'm going to be honest. That's who I was really hoping to get here. So once again, sniped a few picks ahead of me. Eric, you go with University of Miami. Is this the year Miami can finally get it right, man? It feels like under Mario Cristobal, like they always get the guys, and then, he doesn't kneel the ball and he just runs and fumbles and does some dumb shit.
Yeah, well, if we're at a point where this game is coming down to clock management, it's probably at the end of a fairly high-scoring affair, right? So it doesn't necessarily impact this format quite as much. But to your point, Cristobal is a phenomenal recruiter. He's put together an absolute all-star squad this year. Cam Ward is one of the better gets in all of the transfer portal, and he comes into a team that's invested in the offensive line more. They've got really solid receiving options in Restrepo and Jacoby George, right? So I mean, to the core of your question, like, if not this year, when? And I'm willing to bet that this is the year where we see them really get things moving on the offensive side of the ball.
Agreed with you there. We got Miami going off the board for you, and then Sven on the clock and Trash in front of me as well. I'm sweating it out. There's 2 teams I really like here. All right, Oregon State goes off the board to Sven. Sven is dicing it up. Sven's been doing some research ahead of this draft.
Right?
I'm impressed. Sven's out here taking some specialty teams, some teams that were not really on my board necessarily. Who's going to be the sap to take Iowa? What can Iowa offer you? Probably nothing in this format, right? Like,
No, they're not getting picked in anything.
No, I wouldn't think so. I mean, maybe their defensive points are okay. All right, here we go. All right, moment of truth. All right, Troy off the board as well here for Trash. Makes this pick slam dunk, easiest pick of the night for me. I'm gonna go heavy into the rushing here. I'm going to Oklahoma State. I believe in Ollie Gordon, Doak Walker Award winner, potentially the best running back in the country. We heard it a couple weeks ago here, right on the channel from Mike of South Harmon Fantasy Football. It's his favorite running back, the RB1 of the 2025 rookie class for him. Why not invest there and go down to Stillwater, Oklahoma here with my 3rd round selection? Boys, I'm liking it. I'm to be honest. Michigan, Oklahoma State, get that running back core going back, and then a little Arizona action to air it out. Eric, how do you feel about my squad right now?
Yeah, I like what you're working with. I was taking a long look at Ollie Gordon and the Cowboys of Oak State. What what prevented me from clicking the button is we're probably looking at another year where Oklahoma State's defense is not all that effective, to put it
Sure.
gently.
Yeah.
So we could be looking at a situation where the game script is going to cause them to throw a bit more than we would
Sure.
like with a prolific and Heisman caliber rusher in the backfield. So I think you arguably have the best running back on all of the teams that have been drafted so far, but not sure how much the pieces around him are going to support that outcome.
Agreed. Nate saying in the chat, IBT OnlyFans. No, we'll not be getting OnlyFans. Unless people, I don't know, Eric. If you're willing to put your pre-show rituals on there, I am not. I'm a very sacred person. I need that time. But if you're willing to, maybe we do start one up.
You need the you need the temple to be cleansed as you pray at the altar of the Big Ten, right? I, on the other hand, subscribe to the reality that everybody has a price.
Find you a boss that lets you
we
just
can definitely
roast
spin
him.
this up. I'm here for it.
We got Josh in the chat saying, and they have KJ now. Yeah, absolutely. Keeping it moving here. Connor saying we blew our budget on hair products for this show. Nothing left for the gents on the golf show. Looking good, gents. I appreciate it. I said Steve came in here today with the good flow. I complimented Eric's flow when I saw him in person a couple weeks ago in Canton as well. So yeah, some good flow going on right now, boys. I appreciate that.
Man, I'm rolling au natural too.
Likewise,
like
no
simple,
product
right?
in this hair. I mean, it's bleached, but no product.
Ollie or Spry Sheep saying Ollie would be an automatic Heisman winner if it wasn't a QB award. Correct. Yeah, I mean, so when's the last Heisman that hasn't been a quarterback? Devonta Smith, is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is he the only non-quarterback like you guys can think of since Mark Ingram? Is there another one that we're Derrick Henry?
Yeah, Henry got it.
And then
I think those
there were a few more.
There were a couple who I think were in the running that didn't end up winning.
Like Reggie Bush, if you want to go a little bit older.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for a while, I know like Jabril Peppers was in the talks. I know Ndamukong Suh was in the talks. Mm-hmm. Guys like that. But I don't think anyone better. It really is a quarterback award at this point.
Some picks going off the board here. Nicolette going USC. I like USC. She is an LA girl, so Sam calling her out for a homer pick in the chat. Listen, man, Miller Moss had 6-7 touchdowns in their bowl game last season. I know Caleb Williams is arguably one of the better QB prospects we've seen in a long, long time. But I think fucking Miller Moss is also a guy here who can not only operate this system here out there at USC for Lincoln Riley, but I think he can execute maybe even a little better and stay in the system because Caleb was kind of a little bit of an ad-libber, and I think Miller Moss is kind of a strict role follower out there. So I like that pick a lot, Nicolette. I think that's a sharp one. Nate going with Washington, not scared off of the changes happening out there. Going to back Bill Belichick and the boys. Steve, you're going with Memphis. What's going on out there in Memphis, my friend?
So Memphis has a really good, really easy strength of schedule and is projected to have one of the most explosive offenses in the NCAA. They do play Florida State, which is a week that I honestly am just benching them probably, or I'll put them maybe for their rushing upside. But overall, that's going to be the only game that really holds them back. And I expect this to be a high scoring offense. Memphis, it may be a dark horse team to make the college football playoff because a non-group of 5 team has to. Right. They get an automatic bid. I expect that to probably be Memphis this year.
Okay. All right. I like it. UNLV goes to Scott, showing his West Coast bias there a little bit. Boise State. That's a tough one. That hurts me a lot. I was actually eyeing up Boise State for the rushing as well if they came back to me. Ashton Genty, we touched on him with Mike on that podcast as well, Eric. This guy out of Boise is supposed to also be a fucking guy as well. They play on that sweet blue turf. Sometimes get those Thursday night games out there as well, out there in Boise. So would have enjoyed having them on my squad.
Yeah, our guy Mike was definitely banging the drum in that case. So not surprising at all to see them going out here at this point of the draft, right? It's, at a certain point you have to follow the talent when you get a little bit later into the drafts. And I think we've got a nice specialist pick there for Sam Wise.
Yeah, agreed. Cincinnati, that's a homer pick for our guy Sam. There to start the fifth, yeah, I guess fourth round. We're in the fourth round here, and then Scott going with the high fly North Texas offense. I think that's a mean green, right? North Texas mean green. I believe that is. I think that's one of the
Correct.
cooler mascots there. Nicolette saying she's actually a UCLA fan, but unfortunately Miller Moss is going to have a great year. Spry Sheep, he thinks Hank Bachmeier and Wake Forest are going to surprise a lot of people this year. They're my sleeper team. Good to know. Good to know, Spry. I appreciate your opinion there, man. And Sam saying he's also looking for the rushing upside there in Cincy as well. Steve, you're on the board here, man. What are you thinking?
I'm actually going to go with Nebraska. Give
Ooh.
me that sleeper kind of pick right there. I think they're going to have one of the best defenses in the NCAA this season, and defense is hard to come by in college football. It's really, really tough to find a good defense, and I think pairing that up with Alabama, Florida State, and now Nebraska, I think I have three really strong defensive teams when I need them. But add in that they have the best QB prospect in the class coming in. Matt Rule is an offensive-minded guy. He had Baylor slinging that thing. Give me that Nebraska Cornhusker. Give me that up-tempo football in the Midwest out where Seth roams. Like, I am so excited to be rolling with the Nebraska Cornhuskers this year. My squad is sexy as shit.
All right, so I'll give you this, Steve. One, I'm with you on Nebraska. I like what Matt Roll and the boys are doing out there. I don't know if you guys caught that clip on the internet the other day, but he said if he hits a golf ball down the middle of the uprights, that they have to run one more lap, and it was electric. Everyone bought in. It feels like Matt Roll's the right guy to do that. I don't know if he was the best fit for the Carolina Panthers, but glad to see Matt Roll out there and doing his thing down there. He's a Penn State guy. He's a Pennsylvania guy as well. So always wishing Matt Roll the best. However, Pennsylvania is not the fucking Midwest. At least not. I don't know. I would consider us like.
Do you guys have your own dialect?
Yeah, we're kind of almost along that Eastern Seaboard, I guess.
No,
so.
You're not. We don't claim you.
Depends on the part of the state, right? This is like a Philly versus Pittsburgh.
I'm telling you right now, as a real East Coaster who actually lives in a state that is on the East Coast, we do not claim Pennsylvania as our own.
Well, we claim to be part of you, but Western side.
Everyone wants to get into clubs they can't get into.
The western side of the state is more like Ohio, I would guess, and I would say that's more like West Coast, and
listen,
this side
I'm
is more
dating an
East
Ohioan.
Coast.
My man's from Ohio, so I'm all in on you middle of the country people.
Oh man, I'm fucking sniped and I'm really worried about it and I don't know what to do here. I'm gonna be dead ass with you guys. Top of my queue just got absolutely depreciated here in the last couple picks. I'm tempted to go with South Carolina. I feel like South Carolina is always a solid unit. However, they did lose a lot, especially at the quarterback position. Yeah, so don't feel like I can maybe get invested there. Oh man, what are we doing here? I feel like when shit hits the fan, you can always Colorado State's got one of the best wide receivers in the country, so maybe I should go with Colorado State. I feel like they wouldn't be a bad pick here. Oh man, what's the clock on the board here? We got 27 seconds, folks. 27 seconds. Oh man,
little buoy for you, Seth. Florida has the easiest strength of schedule in the nation this year.
Oh, okay. Oh man, yeah. Missouri just went 2-8. Like you guys just absolutely dominated my queue here. Oh man, I hate Florida though. I can't.
Me too. Oh, I despise them with everything I have, and anyone who went there, I just inherently don't trust you.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to pull the trigger here, and oh man, I'm gonna go Texas A&M. They're not great at anything, but they give me a little bit of a passing boost here. I could play him in the defensive hole if I need to as well. And say what you want, man, but Jimbo out there, he's always getting. Oh, I guess you're right. Jimbo is gone. Yeah, never mind. There's nothing right like about Texas A&M now.
They're probably gonna have to throw a lot.
Yeah, Nate saying take Iowa. Spry Sheep saying do not pick UF till Napier is gone. Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, we're only going to do about another round or two of this, and we'll turn this into a slow draft here. But Eric, how you feeling? You're about on the clock here, man. Are the options dwindling down very quickly, especially in a 12-team league here? I believe this is the first ever 12-team league on Squad Blitz.
Ever?
Yo, making a little bit of news here. First ever.
History.
I'm not feeling great. Much like you, I had a good 9-10 teams lined up in my queue, and apparently we are just broadcasting my queue onto the stream because these teams are just going one after the other. So bit of a scramble drill here. I think I'm honing in on a squad that feels like they should be around, unless Sven just really wants to deal me a gut punch, which he did not. I'll answer your prior question asking if I was going to draft someone from the state of Texas. I will, those being the Texas State Bobcats team that looks to have one of the better offensive minds at the helm, should be in a lot of shootouts. So hoping to get a bit of passing upside here from the Bobcats.
Love that pick. Love that pick.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Like it a lot. Like it a lot. Tino back on the clock here. Yeah, we'll go maybe 5 rounds on the show, maybe 6. We'll see how. Yeah, we're coming up on an hour, so maybe we'll do one more round here, and then we'll turn this into a slow draft, and maybe put out some polls who had the shittiest draft, and see if the internet feels a lot like my staff does about my team, probably. So yeah, we'll see what's going on out there.
Get yourself a boss who you can just roast mercilessly on the internet.
Hey, that's what it's about. We got to take some shrapnel here. Auburn going to Tino. They're always a pretty good rushing team down there, so don't blame that pick one bit. Yeah, look at Iowa's passing points, 74 last year. Jeez. I mean, they did lose Cade McNamara like pretty early, I feel like, in the year, but still, that's pretty fucking terrible.
Iowa unders. Does like printing money.
Yes.
It really is. It really is. See, here's a sneaky team that you don't want to pick. I'm just going to put this out there. It may be a bad strategy, but we're streaming to people, so this is what we're supposed to do. If you scroll up a bit, you're going to see a team. Their name is Duke. Yeah, don't pick Duke. They lost so much shit
Riley Leonard
on that
too.
team. Like, so they lost their head coach, who's now at A&M, by the way. And their quarterback is now at Notre Dame. So, like, Duke is one of those, like, that's why you don't want to just go by like sorting. You want to kind of go in with a bit of a game plan for this year, like you were saying earlier. Know what happened, know what's changed, because college football, unlike the NFL, can drastically flip from one season to the next.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed with you 100% there. And I think it's important to note kind of on that as well that not only do we have a high coaching turnover, do we have a high player turnover, but also just like the staffs in general are changing all the time, you know, and I feel like teams go through highs, they go through lows very quickly in college football. So someone who, you know, I think it's been 22 the last 23 years, someone ranked inside the top 10 is not ranked at the end of the year. So like there's always going to be that. And there's usually someone unranked who makes a charge into the top 10 every single year as well. So yeah.
And remember, with the expansion now of the playoff, teams have more to play for down the stretch than ever before. There's now 12 teams getting in. So where you used to see teams kind of ease off the gas, they knew they weren't going to get it. It was what it was. Now teams are fighting for their lives for a longer period of time. You're going to see stuff like that. There's greater parity now because you got the Big Ten that's oversaturated with talent, the SEC that's oversaturated with talent. You're going to see a lot. It's going to be a very different NCAA than we've ever seen before, I think, this season. I think even with your Michigan pick, I mean, think of it. Right now, they are in the midst of a scandal that could rock that program to its core.
Sure.
So, like, that's a real thing you have to worry about. Like, there's never a situation in the NFL where you're like, this team may flat out lose its entire coaching staff, get people suspended. Like, it just doesn't happen like that.
Agreed. We got Josh dropping some tea leaves here in the chat for Katie to pick up. She goes TCU and Georgia Tech after Smokey goes Florida. Josh saying surprised to see GT still on the board. I think they have a great chance for a solid season running the ball. I'll agree with you there, man. I'll agree with you. I was actually previewing them a little bit earlier this week on the Betting Pros College Football Podcast. They got Jamal Haynes in the backfield. Haynes King is also a very good quarterback, had about 37 total touchdowns last season, 10 of those on the ground. So I think Georgia Tech starting off, it's going to be a tough sledding, I think, over there in Dublin. A lot of the sharp money, though, coming in on them. So if you guys want to get invested over there, if you're trying to bet some college football week 0 type shit, some real degen stuff, you can get invested with Georgia Tech over there. Scamper saying, I don't know a damn about college football, but good evening, IBT fam. Good to see you, Mr. Scampers. We appreciate you as always, buddy. Corey saying, signing off now. Looking forward to seeing the standings in this league and how it plays out later, fellas. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate it, man. And Sam shouting out the cheaters. Come on, Sam. Come on, man. You've never cheated in your life either. Tino goes with Louisville here after Iowa goes to Smoky Hell. Eric, what's the play here in round 5 for you, my friend?
Ooh, does that mean I'm on the clock? The play is for me to quit doing on-the-fly research and try to figure out what I'm going to do in this real-world scenario. If this is the last round that we're drafting, I will do something I was planning on doing later, which is taking Maryland, one of the better remaining defensive units on the board, but more specifically, a team that is nearly, at least depending on your book, a 25-point favorite in week number 1. So because you have to start a team for your defensive scoring contribution, my plan will be to let those picks wait until the very last rounds and stream whoever the largest favorites are available in the transfer portal.
There you go. There you go. I like it. I don't hate the play at all. And yeah, apparently I pulled up some of my researching tabs and they were broadcasted live. So that's sick. Appreciate that. Always trying to get that edge on you guys. UCLA goes out after South Florida and Maryland here. A little Big Ten love there from Eric. All right, I'm on the clock. This is my last pick live tonight, guys. And here we go again. I think I'm just gonna do it. I think I'm just gonna go Colorado State. They have a good passing offense. They have a pretty good defense here as well. I can get by for them. So, yeah, I think that's probably gonna be the move for me. Is Colorado State? Yeah, we'll go Colorado State. It's gonna be the pick.
You sure, Seth? You sure you don't want to go Tulane?
I was gonna say I also like Bowling Green, to be honest with you guys. They have the defense. And they have the top tight end in this draft class as well, Harold Fannin. And they have a really good running back who's probably going to be drafted at probably day 3 next year, Terrian Stewart. So Bowling Green has a couple dogs for once, it seems like. I'm not, very, very plugged into the Bowling Green community. I believe is that Bowling Green, Kentucky or Ohio? I get them both.
Ohio.
Is that Bowling Green's in Ohio, that one?
I think so. Is Jim Tressel still there? Do we know? Can I get a confirmation on that?
That's why we need Kyle on the back end. I believe he's actually Jim Tressel.
No, he's at Youngstown, right?
Yep. Youngstown State. Yep, Youngstown State. So, all right. Well, we're kind of rounding out here. I'm gonna round out the 5th round. I went Colorado State, UCLA off the board to trash as well. Yeah, let's see. How you feeling about
Steve? Can't go wrong with the UCLA pick.
Steve, go through your squad, man. Let's hear. What do you have? What do you have rocking so far?
My squad is. I wish I could see it better, but I can't. My squad is Florida State, Bama, Memphis, Nebraska.
Okay.
So Florida State, Bama, I mean, they're just a blue chip program, right? They're just going to put up points. They can play defense. They can do it all. And that's really my do it all picks right there, which is great. Memphis is an explosive offense. I don't expect much on the defensive end from them, but that's fine. I really want them for that passing offense. Nebraska is that defensive specialist that I'm really honing in on with the upside of a passing offense. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that my next team, they just went. Nicolette just took them. So BC, great pick because they have a quarterback who I personally watched light up Florida State last year. I was at the game. I was on the sideline essentially watching them nearly ruin our season. That quarterback can run like almost no one else in college football right now. That is a good pick.
Yeah, I like it. I like the pick a lot. Nicolette's a sharp out there. Steve, final pick for you will then be what after Nate goes Syracuse here, and I believe they got Kyle McCord from Ohio State who transferred there.
Yeah, you know what?
You gonna go Bowling Green? Show a little love to the green.
I'm considering it. I'm considering it. I kind of no, I don't think I'm gonna go Bowling Green. I think I'm gonna go. Oh, I don't know. God.
Spry Sheep saying Boston College red zone defense last year was absolute garbage.
Don't care about that. I care about the defense. I mean the offense.
That actually is a point that supports your offensive pick of them, right? You want them to be hemorrhaging points.
Yeah, I want them to
Wow, yeah, we're in the fucking thick of it here. We're in the thick of it. I'm
man,
surprised.
I am stressing.
Navy's not a Navy or Army if you want another kind of specialist on. What do you need, Steve? What do you need so far? You got some defenses, you got some.
Yeah, I really want that rushing upside, and I think I'm gonna go with San Jose State, a team that really does love to run the ball and really pound the football. They are just again a team that plays against pretty weak competition, and they just have these little like water bug kind of running backs, and they just zip all over the field. And honestly, give me that all day. I won't lie, I was looking at Army because that is just, you're just not going to get that kind of rush attempts every game from anyone else. Like Georgia Tech used to be that. Now it's not. Obviously, the triple option's done, but
yeah, I like it. I like the pick a lot. I'll run through my squad here. Scott makes the last pick here live on air. I have Michigan and Oklahoma State really going to be my heavy running back squads. I feel like Arizona, Texas A&M, I'll lean on their passing. I feel like I'll kind of switch Colorado State, Texas A&M out, probably depending on the week, and then potentially use Colorado State's defense when they're playing an inferior opponent as well. So really like what I was able to do here towards the middle of the draft. Eric, go through your squad if you would, my friend.
Yeah, so I went with the bully running back strategy, opening up Liberty, Biberty, and West Virginia. I should be pretty prolific in that category, but much like bully running back strategies in NFL fantasy football, the rest of my team is looking a little suspect. I think Miami should be able to have a pretty good passing offense. Texas State should as well, but honestly, to rely on them as my second passing option, need a lot of things to go right. And then went Maryland really just to underscore my point that I think you can stream defenses in this format and do just fine.
Agreed. Yep. We're going to go ahead. We'll keep that draft moving. I'm pretty sure like I have to manually do an auto pick. So we're all good there, guys. We don't need to pause it or anything like that. But we're going to go ahead and round out the show here with a little bit of good news. All right. And for my good news of the week, we just have one headline. I wanted to shout it out today. Saved by the Bell turns 35 today. This is one of my favorite 90s teen show sitcoms. We got Mr. Belden, we got AC Slater, we got Mark and the boys. I thought this was a show that they kind of, not only was it a little corny at times, but I thought at the same time it did teach you some like life lessons. Like I remember there was an episode where Jesse was going through like a little bit of an addiction thing, taking some speed to try to stay up late for tests and shit. So I'm a big Saved by the Bell fan. Were you guys Saved by the Bell kids? Because that's probably like right in your area.
No, I wasn't a Saved by the Bell kid. And you know what? The fact that this is, you can tell I didn't look at the show sheet because this just caught me off guard, and now I'm mad all over again. The pre-show got hostile. The pre-show got hostile here today because Seth's slinging around some serious just misinformation on Twitter, and he's doing it irresponsibly. And I really would love to appeal to the higher ups of Twitter to ban Seth for life for what he said. saying that Saved by the Bell is in a tier above a classic like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, let's talk about it here. Let's pull up my put these out earlier on the internet. In honor of Saved
Freaks
by the
and
Bell.
Geeks got one season, and that cannot be a tier 1 show.
Yeah, so I released my 90s teen show tiers. Internet didn't love it. Steve in the comments, first one, tell me I'm fucking criminal. So gotta love that.
Bro, Buffy at 9. Buffy's at 9.
Yeah, let me run through these for the audio listeners as well so they can hear it. Boy Meets World at the 1 hole. That 70s Show at 2. Freaks and Geeks 3. Saved by the Bell 4. That's my tier 1. Tier 2, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Fresh Prince, Beverly Hills 90210, Blossom, shout out Mike Stoyanoff. Buffy then begins tier 3 at 9, and Sister as well. So, Steve, your biggest gripe is what?
First off, Fresh Prince is number 1 of all those shows. Sabrina, too low. Buffy, too low. Blossom shouldn't even be on the list. Love Michael, great guy, like super nice. No, that shouldn't be on the list. Freaks and Geeks got 1 season. That's nothing. That's gone. Yeah, Boy Meets World being number 1. Seth, like, are you just an after school special fan or something? Like, dude, what is going on, bro?
We learned real shit.
I think what we're really surfacing here is Seth's childhood crush and infatuation with the Pangalorans. That is the only reason.
That's what's going on.
You put Boy Meets World at the top of this list, right?
Dude, take it easy. No, listen, man. Mr. Feeney taught me a lot about life. Corey taught me a lot about life. Like, that was a great, and not only
Prince taught more lessons in life lessons than any show on this list.
You got to see Corey grow up from like a 8-year-old kid to like a college, past college, like a young adult when he was having kids. So,
I mean, look, there's something to be said for longevity, but it looks like you got a lot of compilers on your list here, right?
What do you think, Eric? What do you think about the list overall? Like, someone said that 70 show is technically a 2000 show because a lot of the seasons happen in the 2000s. Fuck them, it started in the 90s, so yeah, I think I'm good there.
Very technically a 2000 show. Also, as time has passed, apparently fairly problematic in terms of some of the things that were happening with the cast members. So, weird flag to plant out there. Probably the weirdest call. How old were you watching Beverly Hills 90210?
I was like 6
years old
watching these
people.
Even
born in the 90s having a fucking say?
Yes, I was. 90s? I was born
in 1999.
98 actually, but I've watched most of these shows since then.
Shut the fuck up.
I wasn't watching these shows when I was 1.5 or 1. Like, fuck off.
Why were you watching Beverly Hills 90210?
That's what I'm saying. That's like the weirdest placement on this list.
Like, what is wrong with you?
That was more like my parents would watch that show, so.
And you had it ranked 7th.
I thought
ahead of Buffy.
Good little show. Have you ever
watched Buffy?
Yeah, I think Buffy's a good little show. That's another one my parents watched.
Good little show.
Buffy introduced the vampire craze to this country.
Really? That's where it all started?
Set the world on fire.
No doubt. No doubt.
This is why you can't let non-90s kids talk about the 90s.
So Scott saying, holy crap, I'm old in the chat. Nate saying, wow, way to remind me I'm old. Nicolette saying, met Mario Lopez. Cool dude. I believe that. Also saying Beverly Hills 90210 needs to be way higher. Nicolette's like younger than me, and she's watched Beverly Hills. So back off me there. Sam saying got some stories about Sabrina. Not sure exactly what that means. All right. Nate saying, tell me you're a 90s kid you're not a 90s kid without telling me. Hey, again, born in 98, guys. My opinion is still very valid.
No, it isn't.
Very, very valid. I watched most of this stuff.
You came back to this as a 10-year-old in 2010.
Seth's that guy who's like, Game of Thrones is the greatest TV show ever made.
I never really watched Game of Thrones, so no, not on that.
What's the best show you've ever seen, Seth? Off the top of your head, what's the best show of all time? This is going to dictate whether you have an opinion or not.
I don't know. I couldn't answer that.
Man.
Is it Breaking Bad? Are you going to say Breaking Bad? I bet you say Breaking Bad.
No, I'd say off top of the dome on the list of Prison Break. Probably that's a great show. It's a really good show. Yeah. I don't know. I can't.
our guy Seth is rocked. That's a tough spot. You're over here getting your list
I
just
would say
annihilated.
I would say Boy Meets World, Freaks and Geeks are probably on that list. Honestly, they're great shows. Honestly, Trash saying Sabrina far too low. I never watched all of Sabrina. It was on quite a bit, like ABC Family, and I'd John with that. Trash saying I also do think Freaks and Geeks gets to be high partially because it only has one season. Did you watch Freaks and Geeks, Eric? Like I think that was such a coming of age show, especially as we kind of got Seth Rogen, James Franco, and the boys early on in their acting career, and Jason Segel.
Yeah. Like if we're talking about like, threading the needle and getting a lot done with one season, it's definitely up there. Quality program, right? In terms of where it sits in the tiers, I think you need to string together a little bit more consistency, but in a vacuum of the quality of the show onto itself, definitely in that conversation. For me, the bigger issue with this list is there are some notable omissions here, right? Like we need to talk about the secret world of Alex Mack. We need to talk about Salute Your Shorts, right? Like clearly shading towards the Nickelodeon channel specifically, but yeah, there's some people that are disgruntled on the outside looking in here.
There's some people are on the inside who are disgruntled. Let me tell you.
I didn't watch a lot of the '90s Nickelodeon show other than like Keenan and Kel and like some of that.
That didn't even make your list. What about Drake and Josh?
List.
That's a 2000 show, bro. Drake and Josh 2000s, 2004. Steve, come on.
This list is trash.
Yeah. I look, I get it. Nate saying, why is Bob Saget not on this list? Yeah, and all that. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, would you consider? I guess Full House should have probably made this list. I agree with that one.
So now I feel like we're kind of venturing into 90s shows broadly, right?
Yeah, I was trying to more stick with like
show is kind of a different category. I get that there are teenagers on
I would say
Full House
is probably a teen show.
It's definitely intended for teens to watch, right?
Yeah. Oh well,
man. Yeah. Get me with some Family Matters, some Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh,
we need to workshop this before we bring these sort of things to light next time, Seth.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Hey, dude,
you feeling frisky? Like
sometimes I like to take fucking swing. You know what I mean?
You're putting this list out here.
Yeah,
and people are gonna read it and they're gonna ask themselves, where are his friends? And your friends are right here, right? Me and Steve, right here. We got you. We'll help you talk through this before you put it out to the light of day.
You hired me to talk about movies and TV shows. Like, run it by me. You got my number. Just text me.
Hey, sometimes you gotta take a couple fucking cuts, boys. If you get hit by the pitch, you get hit by the pitch. You know what I mean?
That's not how baseball works either. Just like your tier list, it's broken.
Hey, that's what we do here at the IBT podcast. Shout out to you guys for being awesome on the show. Great to hang out with both Eric and Steve tonight. Eric, you got Pros with Joe's Rip, and we know you got Green Screen Media, college basketball coming back here as well over here on YouTube. Steve, you and I are kind of up to something right now. We're going to kind of keep that in the back pocket. We'll reveal that here, hopefully in a matter of a couple weeks. But you can check out a lot of Steve's entertainment content, football content here at IBT. Anything else you're doing right now that I didn't mention other than the stuff on the back end here that we're keeping on the DL for right now?
Just keeping that Rainbow Bowl sign up open. If you want to sign up, it's still there. I think we got a lot of people who are here signed up and in. I think we're at 144 players right now. So I don't know. We'll have to see. That Excel sheet got awful long. That took a long time for me to put together because I got to document all that. So
yeah. No, I feel you there. Eric feels you as well. Running multiple leagues.
It's rough.
Yeah, thank you so much to the IBT family for tuning in. Appreciate everyone from the staff coming out, hanging out with us, drafting as well. Shout out to Squad Blitz. Awesome time drafting over there tonight as well. So thank you guys so much. We'll be back next week with our regular scheduled content. Until then, y'all know what to do here. Keep it in between. Thank you.